Cup. And I mean, the only saving grace is possibly that is at home. And I don't think they've scored a goal at our ground yet. So that being said, Winnie, how are you feeling going into that one?
Look, I was watching. It's very rare that I watch, a live FA Cup draw or any kind of draw. But I happened to be able to watch that one. I was watching it intently. I was like, right, I've seen who we had left, and I was like, we could get, we could take them. We could take them, and then obviously we got the ball for us at home, and then it was Manchester City, and I was just look. Their record for some reason at our stadium is crap, and I don't know what it is because their team is phenomenal. But the only thing I can put it down to is that they don't, teams come and set up with a low block, etc. They just play the way they play, and that seems to suit us. When teams come and try and attack us, we can pick them off. But I don't know if it's some sort of hoodoo, whatever it is. But look, it's not ideal. Let's be honest. However, we're going to probably have to meet them at some point. So why not get them out of the way? Because if I genuinely mean this, if we can get past Man City, I don't really fear anyone else. If we get a couple of home draws and stuff like that, then why not go far? But yeah, look, so I'm confident, but not confident because it's obviously Man City. It has to come to an end at some point. They've got to score at our stadium at some point. But for now, we can, we're coming on the back of a draw. We've fought back twice against Man United, so why not be positive?
Definitely. And like you said, obviously, may this streak of them not scoring our ground continue for the FA Cup, Luke, eh?
Yeah, exactly. And when he said that exactly, at the start of the show, he mentioned how players always score against Spurs when they haven't scored in X amount of time. And now he's mentioning, records of Spurs not conceding at home against Manchester City. But, some have to come to an end, but also some get to stay as well. So I completely agree with Winnie, though. I think that you have to play big teams at some point. You have to beat the best to be the best. And so you shouldn't fear anybody in the FA Cup. Look, we can all crave and cry out for this easy draw. And, does anyone remember I think it was the Carabao Cup run under Jose Mourinho? We got a bye in the first round, and we got all the way to the final in that one. And that didn't help us either. So it's like, what do you want? Do you want the easy teams and then to moan and whinge when we get knocked out? Do you want a difficult team and then moan and whinge when we get knocked out? Like, which one do you want? Because it's not always going to be a victory. We're not always going to win. But you do have to beat the best. And the only thing that's infuriating for me is how good Kevin De Bruyne looked when he came on at the weekend. Because that's a worrying thing for me is how open we are sometimes at the back with his passing ability. I think that it could be difficult at times, but we've got to play like we play and see what happens.
I mean, I'm glad and I'm not glad you brought De Bruyne up because, Dan, I think that's the thing. I think the only saving grace is obviously Daddy Longlegs and Mickey van der Ven in the sense that you'd like to think that he could probably chase the ball down if a pass went through him. But for you, Dan, how do you kind of see us going into this one? I know we want to win, but how do you think it's going to go down?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. On Guardiola, I love that. I saw a clip maybe a week or so ago where they were like, Pep, what do you want for the new year if you could have anything? And he's like, an away goal to Spurs. And you can tell it's like, oh, nice gag. But then you can see in his eyes, he's like, like this is what I want more than anything. So I love that we are just this thorn in his side that he just can't get rid of. I'm pretty sure Haaland is out. Is that right? Like that's the last I heard that he was expected to miss the game. Not that we're going into this game like, oh, they got a player out. Okay, great. Now we're in with a chance because I don't think Ange is going to be doing that. Like they're not going to be a training ground, for the whole week being like, well, boys, Man City this week. Wow, what a big. They're just going to go about their business and think that we don't care. We can beat anyone. We can take on anyone. So I do think that, it would have been nice if De Bruyne wasn't back right now and he was still out for a little bit longer, but I think that we've just got to go about our business, and whoever is fit, if Maddison is back and he's by that stage he feels like he is ready and he's got confidence that he's past his injury and he can play, great. But I would prefer us not to push Maddison and just go into the game with whoever is available, because hopefully we can get past them, and I think if we do get past them, we're a pretty good chance to win. Which also means that at that stage, I can upgrade my mug here, which I bought as like the stupidest thing I could find on the Spurs shop, which says Carabao Cup finalists 2020-2021.
I remember when they released that, and it was just a horrific moment for everyone, wasn't it?
It's so wild, but then it made me think like maybe it's genius because they think that like the people who do buy it are like, that's so stupid. I'm going to buy it because it's kind of funny. But hopefully I can get a new mug after this. Another finalist one.
No, a winner's one. That's what we want.
Well, I mean, it's not as funny, is it, Hollie? Okay,
No, I mean, there is that. There is that. I suppose there isn't a lot of comedic value, but I mean, it'd be nice to actually have a winner's one. But winners. I mean, Winnie. That being said, obviously we've said about De Bruyne. We've said about the hoodoo, but in that kind of sense, you're also thinking this is the last cup we're in for this season. Ange's not going to play this down very lightly, is he? We're going to go all guns blazing. You like to think?
100%, and that just seems to be Tottenham's way now. Whatever opponent we have in front of us, whatever kind of competition, whatever's at stake, we just go and play the way that he wants to play, and it's so refreshing because, you know, when we've only got to look back at Chelsea, where, you know, unfortunately we had some red cards and the game didn't go as we planned, but look, he stuck to his guns then, and we played that ridiculously high line with Eric Dyer at the heart of it. And it worked for some reason. It worked. It kind of. Obviously, the result says different, but you know, we were kind of being applauded for it because it was like, I remember Jamie Carragher saying, "This is amazing. I could watch this every week. I hope he does this every week." And this is just the way Ange does it, and I absolutely love it. And as you say, he's not going to take it lightly because, look, it would be great. He obviously wants to win a trophy at any point with Spurs, but if he could do it in his first season, you know, that accolade is something special. So all I can expect is we're going to go out there and just go all guns blazing, and just try and you know what, I think with Ange, it's almost just try and win the game by scoring more than them. Not necessarily trying to keep them out. Let's just score as much as we can and hope that we don't concede more than we score. So, and the Man City Tottenham games always seem to be entertaining. So I'm looking forward to it, to be fair.
Yeah, I think we all are, and I think it's like I said, the fact that this is the last kind of cup for this season, it's almost like, and obviously without Europe as well, Luke, it's kind of done us. I don't want to say a favour because you always want to be in Europe, but I've always said if we could win a trophy over being in Europe in that sort of time frame, you kind of want that, don't you?
Yeah, definitely. And go back quickly to Dan's mug. I remember when I was much younger, I don't know where it is now, and I'm really annoyed about it. I asked my dad the other day, but we can't find it. I used to have a mug with like really old Spurs crest on it, and then it had all the dates of all the trophies we'd ever won on it.
Oh,
It was brilliant, and I don't know where it's ever gone now. So Dan reminded me I need to try and speak to my dad and try and see if he's not throwing it out. But yeah, this season not having Europe is kind of like perfect because it gives Ange that time to bed his players in. You know, you'd say to avoid injuries, but clearly that's got actually worse than what it should have done. But it's kind of perfect that we don't have Europe, but it's essential that we get back into Europe. This season really is the time where we do need to win something. I bet if you looked at betting odds now, you would get ridiculous odds on Spurs to win the FA Cup now because of the fact that we have Manchester City. If we don't win it, it doesn't mean that we're never going to win a cup again. It's just this would be a real shot for us to be able to focus on an FA Cup and the Premier League. But as Ange said at the weekend, Premier League's not out of the question, people.
I'll rate the optimism. I mean, Dan, are you kind of on the same vibe? Can we do a trophy and potentially maybe win the league? Which sounds a bit crazy for me to say, but I've said it.
The double is happening this season. I'm convinced that. So they'll be talking about the double team of 23-24 moving forward. But I agree with what's being said. Like, Ange is a winner. Like, he's not an idiot. He goes to places and he wins. Like, so even though he is this really nice, like, reaffirming figure, like, he wins trophies. Like, that's what he does as well. That's what he's done his whole career in a whole bunch of different environments. Like, moving to different countries, he doesn't speak the language. He goes there, he wins. I'm talking about Japan, not Scotland, but like, whatever you think of that. But he's got a track record that really sort of proves that, and he said this himself, that he's like, I love winning. And you could tell that this is someone who he's not just like a laid back sort of nice guy. Like, he is so driven to win. You don't get to his position, especially from like not being a glamorous ex-professional. Like, he played, but not to as high a level as a lot of other managers did. But you don't get there without being so driven and like obsessed with winning. Like, so I believe him. Like, and I think that if he's sitting there saying like, well, statistically, if we can still win the league, so of course, I guess we're in the title race. Same with cups. Like, why then would I, as a fan, sit back and go like, no, I need to protect my emotions. I'm gonna. Here's the reasons why I think we're gonna go out and lose. It's like, no, I'm like all on board for the journey, and like Ange makes me think that we can do anything and we can keep conquering that. And I think that if we as the fans are doing that as well as the players, like that's such a lovely place for everyone to be in together, rather than having like Ange and the players trying to have this and then the fans still stepping back and going like, no, we don't want to be disappointed again. I'm like, even if it is a bit naive at times, like just go fully in on it. And like, I think that we honestly can, maybe double now sounds a bit much, but like, I think we can definitely win something this season. We'd need a few things to go our way in the league for that to happen, but I think the cup's a definite possibility.